Your nature is freedom that cannot be taken away or lost. The identity of the ego that has lost its freedom was never you, was never real, was always empty of any inherent existence or essence. It was an appearance, but not a reality. The life of the ego is a dream. There is much to be learned from the dream, but the real learning begins at the moment of awakening from the dream. The real self is empty of suffering, empty of otherness, empty of duality, empty of lack. And it is the emptiness that is filled always with the Supreme Presence of the Creator. And you are not different from that. And so your creative intelligence, once it is activated, emerges from the silence to resolve all problems and all suffering. Because your intelligence recognizes what is illusory and what is real. And the real is bliss. The real is love. The real is light. The real is timeless, eternal presence. This is obscured by the ego, but it cannot be hidden. This truth is accessible at any moment you are willing to enter into silence and free yourself from the ego chatter and its frame of reference that denies the real. The ego cannot reach the real, but it doesn't have to. You simply have to realize you were never the ego. Consciousness is empty of any objective identity. You are pure presence that has no form and no objective correlative whatsoever. No location, non-locality, and complete interconnectivity with all beings in the cosmos, because all derive from the one creative intelligence that is dreaming this cosmos. And you are that dreamer. The dream is a multiplex dream. It is one dream being dreamed from an infinite number of points of view simultaneously. And every sentient being contributes to this dream, this Indra's net, this holographic symphony of experience and imperience. But the function of the dreamer is to be awake in the dream so that your compassion, your wisdom, your power can bring the greatest beauty into the dream. The deepest love, the richest meaningfulness, the most sublime recognition of the divinity of all beings. The function of the dreamer is to bring harmony, the music of divine love into the dream, so that the dream indeed manifests as the kingdom of heaven. When we fall asleep in the dream and identify with the ego, the world becomes a hell realm, a nightmare. But by the simple act of awakening, the beauty of God's presence returns to the dream. You are that beauty. You are that power that can transform the dream from a nightmare to a beautiful celestial realm of joy, of peace, of love. And abide forever beyond the dream, in the abode of the One Self, forever untouched by any traces of suffering that may have occurred in the dream as part of the effort of the dreamer to awaken itself from its own forgetfulness. And once awakened, there is no more need to suffer. There is no further karma, because the karma is limited to the illusory self from which you have now disidentified. And so your true nature, Sat, Chit, Ananda, the power of being, the infinite intelligence of the God Self, and the blissful love of the limitless heart of the Creator is who you are. You can feel this power of love and light and freedom within you the moment you let go of the false belief that you are a bodily being and recognize that all is consciousness. There are no bodies at all. This is all a play of light. This is all a play of consciousness. And the perfection of your true nature has never been impaired. Nothing can stop you from living as the real self. Except your own misplaced loyalty to an illusory identity that you have outgrown and which is obsolete and never had any reality at all, and which you went through only to gain deeper wisdom and compassion, which, having gained, enables you to be free of the past entirely. And by the simple act of living in the present, all those attributes of the self, in its nobility, its luminosity, its maturity, its refinement of sensitivity, of compassion and understanding, all emerge, along with many other siddhis or yogic powers that have been latent within the mind and the heart, awaiting your maturation to the level where you can know how to use them appropriately. It is only with that refinement, that adherence to the Dharma, that willingness to sacrifice egocentric desires, that makes you worthy and able to wield the secret powers of higher consciousness, to be entrusted with the sword of truth and with the mind of God that can unravel all knots and resolve all problems, and with the capability of emanating the energy of healing light. May you choose to gain these powers and use them in the service of the One Self, because that is the test that enables you to graduate from this school and achieve the next level of consciousness that is transcendent of this world. We are now at the end of the term, and the final exam is being handed out. We must be ready to pass through the portal that opens at the end of Kali Yuga into the naked singularity where the dream ends And only the dreamer at that omega point can redream the dream in the form of absolute beauty that is necessary for the continuation of life and a new cycle of time. That power to pass through the needle is given only to those who have realized the perfection, the divinity, the golden light of pure, absolute love, and live in that vibrational frequency without oscillation. May you choose never to oscillate between the real and the false. And never return to that illusion that can only produce more suffering. To live as an ego is a dead end. You have the wisdom to understand that and to change your trajectory of life now, forever. The urgency and the responsibility and the consequences that depend upon that choice are enormous in terms of your destiny. And yet, for the real self that you are, nothing at all will happen. Nothing changes. But the beauty of that power that you emanate will save all souls who are still within the illusion of suffering from having to go through a hell realm that you can prevent from having to happen. It is the compassion and the forgiveness of all of those souls who carry the burden of sin within their hearts and the guilt and the shame of their mistreatment of one another and the earth and life and God, who will require great assistance in letting go of their torment. We must have the greatness of heart to perform that act once we have gone through our own ordeal of receiving the forgiveness for our own delay in attaining liberation. May we delay no longer, for the sake of all.